Hello and welcome to Eagles Aerie 4273. I want to thank the Eagles for allowing Central Florida Salute YouTube. That's what I am, and that's what that young lady over there is, and Captain Charlie over there. We are a YouTube channel dedicated to service, sacrifice, honor, and educating. We do film a lot of shows here, and we appreciate the Eagles allowing us to be here. My name is Bob Peters. I am the host of Central Florida Salute. I also produce it. She does all my camera work, all my editing, and if you go to Central Florida Salute on YouTube, you'll find us. Today we have two service officers. We're filming this for our YouTube channel so that we can give it to the DAV and Lake County Veterans Service Office so they can put it on their YouTube or their Facebook page too. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to start with the pretty one, and then we got, no, not him, you. We're going to ask you, if you got questions, wait till both presentations are over, because we can only film so much. But Catherine Mohan is from the DAV. She is the Senior Associate National Service Officer. This is what happens when you didn't get your glasses out. You struggle. And also from the Lake County Service Officer, we have Drew O'Connor. Drew is a Navy vet. Catherine is Air Force. I tend to lean with Catherine because I am Air Force. But we welcome everybody here. If you check out our show on YouTube, Central Florida Salute YouTube, you'll see all kinds of history there. I've recorded people from the 1936 Olympics to modern day warriors, to Medal of Honor recipients. I've flown on B-17s, B-29s. And today we wanted to do this. I get asked a lot, because I've been in the veterans community for over 40 years, about what can I do if my wife died, or my husband died, and he was in the service, but he'd been married before, and blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, I'm not a service officer. I'm an advocate. So I brought in some service officers that can answer your questions. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to turn this over to our Air Force, Catherine. You're going to do your presentation, followed by Drew, and then we'll open it up to question and answer. So it's all yours, my dear.
All right. Well, thanks, Bob. Like Bob said, I'm a Senior National Service Officer out of the St. Petersburg, Florida Regional Office. I've been doing the assisting veterans for over 12 years. Bob had asked me to come here and said, first and foremost, hey, tell a little bit about your Air Force experience. So with that, and what led me to advocate for my fellow comrades was by pure coincidence of literally stumbling into a service officer at the VA Claims, the regional office, trying to navigate my own claim. I had served in the United States Air Force as a chaplain assistant.
Can you hold it closer, please?
Will do. Sorry. I had served in the United States Air Force as a chaplain assistant, having served from 2000 to 2004. At the Air Combat Command's 27th Fighter Wing, located at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. I was deployed to Operation Southern Watch, which would infamously turn into Operation Iraqi Freedom during my deployment. Shortly after my deployment and upon discharge, I sought out finishing my bachelor's in business management with the University of Phoenix, having completed that in the summer of 2005. In looking back, my tour of duty, my deployment, and countless hours studying for my college classes was a walk in the park compared to filing a VA claim. I was the lost veteran, confused about VA benefits, and the lack of information provided upon discharge from the United States Air Force. I thought that in order to file, my injuries had to come from my combat tour in Saudi Arabia, in which I would later learn through monthly VSO training that I did indeed have disabilities sustained from my deployment, in what the VA calls presumptive conditions. But through the fluke of saying something funny to a national service officer in the VA's claims hallway would land me over 12 years and counting, walking the VA hallways to assist my fellow comrades in navigating their benefits and entitlements. So with that, First and foremost, wanted to thank Bob for hosting this event and allowing me to speak on DAV's behalf about what we do. And I want to thank you all for coming as well. Next slide, please.
DAV is keeping the promise to hundreds of thousands of veterans of all generations. We help them receive the health, disability, and financial benefits they've earned so they can live the full, rewarding lives they deserve. DAV understands the needs of veterans because we're veterans too. Since 1920, we've supported our nation's heroes. Our services are free. Our commitment is total. DAV has more than 1 million members and nearly 1,300 local chapters. Every year at service offices and in towns and communities nationwide, DAV professionals interviewed more than 330,000 veterans, helping them cut through the red tape to file more than 200,000 claims for VA benefits. DAV advocates help veterans understand their benefits and remain by their side through every step of the claims and appeals process. Last year, we helped veterans and their families receive more than $20 billion in earned benefits. We also placed DAV advisors on military installations all over the country to help service members transition to civilian life. The most critical benefit promised to veterans who are changed as a result of their military service is health care. But many veterans don't receive the care they need because they don't have the means or ability to get to their VA medical appointments. The DAV Transportation Network brings thousands of volunteer drivers to the rescue. They log millions of miles each year, giving veterans more than 600,000 rides to and from medical appointments at no charge. DAV is also working to help transitioning military members, veterans, and their spouses find meaningful employment through our in-person and virtual job fairs. Through traditional and virtual career fairs, DAV is the most prolific charity in the nation in terms of connecting veterans with employers. Just as veterans fought for our way of life, DAV fights for theirs in Washington. We are a tireless and respected advocate for the rights of all veterans. Now we're leading the way to improve the lives of women veterans with our powerful voice on Capitol Hill. When DAV speaks, policymakers listen, and veterans' lives get better. DAV also keeps its promises to the millions of concerned citizens who donate their financial support to our mission. Each year, we put their generous gifts to work, serving more than 1 million veterans in life-changing ways, just as we have for a century. Our record of service to veterans is unmatched. We do whatever it takes to serve all of America's ill and injured veterans because they did whatever it took to serve all of us. A promise was made, and DAV makes sure that promise is kept.
All right, so that was a video into the many things that DAV does as a whole to assist our military community and veteran community. Charlie, next slide. So with that, DAV is a charity and a community focused on empowering all generations of veterans, their families, and survivors. When a veteran is called to duty to defend our nation, we make a promise that we will take care of them if they are changed as a result of their service. DAV ensures that promise is kept. All the DAV's services are offered at no cost or obligation to the veteran and families that we assist. And also, as noted, you do not have to be a member to get help with our organization. Charlie, next slide. So with that, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways by representing their claims for benefits before the Department of Veterans Affairs, maintaining the nation's largest network of volunteers focused on needs of disabled veterans, connecting veterans with employers, and educating companies about the benefits of hiring injured veterans, and acting as a voice for our nation's wounded veterans and their families on Capitol Hill and in state houses across the country. Next slide, Charlie. So with DAV's voice in Congress is backed by more than 1 million members. To carry out our mission of service, our members are divided into 52 state-level departments that span the U.S. and territories. In nearly 1,300 chapters and communities nationwide, those members are providing services and a network support of veterans to their families. Next slide, Charlie. So with that, a little history on the DAV. DAV was founded in Cincinnati, Ohio, by World War I veterans who returned to the country ill-prepared to welcome them home. At the time, there was no centralized national effort to assist veterans who'd been gassed and wounded in the war to end all wars. For the better part of the last century, DAV has been behind every piece of public policy that specifically addressed the needs of disabled veterans and their families, including the establishment of Veteran Bureau, which was the forerunner to today's Department of Veterans Affairs. Next slide. When veterans returned from service forever changed, their ability to live independently and care for their families is a top concern. Some people believe that in the veterans are discharged from the military, they automatically get their benefits. Unfortunately, the fight to receive benefits can be extremely complicated and difficult for veterans. DAV benefits advocates are all service-connected, disabled veterans who have been through the claims process personally, such as myself. Our professional national benefit advocates go through a rigorous and intensive course of formal and on-the-job training that lasts over 16 months. We act as attorney in facts. We cut through the red tape of helping veterans efficiently and accurately file their benefits. We also have transition advocates that are stationed at military installations where they provide direct assistance to military members who are being discharged or deactivated. This service recognizes the sacrifice of those who served and empowers them to lead fulfilled lives. And with that, Charlie, next slide. No one in veteran services represents more veterans than DAV or does so as well. On any given day, DAV benefit advocates are working 250,000 claims for benefits. And the last results that we had, that was in 2018, that resulted in more than $20 billion in benefits. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. I have two local chapter service officers, Bob Walter and Mike Dunn, who are going to go over our service, what DAV service officers do and part of the claims process.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Dunn. I'm a treasurer adjutant and also a service officer for Chapter 109 in Titusville. I brought with me my senior vice commander, Bob Walter. He's also one of our senior service officers. One of the things that we like to try to get out to the public, like you guys, and a lot of people in the state of Florida don't even know we exist. There's been a lot of people, including myself, that got out of the military and 20 years later try to file a claim myself because I've been putting up with problems with my back and my knees. Didn't know how to do it. I fumbled through it, and then I stumbled upon the DAV. During hard times, filing claims, it only took me 7 years to get to 100% total and permanent. Without the DAV, wouldn't have done it. And they didn't charge me a dime. If you know people out there that are talking about going to a lawyer to get their benefits, please tell them, don't do that. Those people make thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, billions of dollars off of veterans filing their claims that can be done through either national service officers or federal service officers, chapters like ours. There's 50 chapters in the state of Florida. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me sometimes when people just go downtown to somewhere like that. Your specific service benefits, Swedish and I got Bob here with me. He will go over some of the things that you need to make sure that you bring with you. Because a lot of times we have people coming in and they want to file a claim, they have no idea what they need, and we have to turn around and send them back home to get different forms or paperwork. And with that, I'm going to let Bob talk about benefits and how you get them and
Sure, I'll take over. Can you hear me okay, this mic here? Or? Okay, I'll use this mic here. I'm Bob Walter, and I'm a service officer for Chapter 109. Of course, I'm Army, for you Army guys. But for any military person, pretty much all we need is your DD Form 214 and a diagnosed injury or anything, disease or anything. Just come in and see us and let us talk to you, and we can decide. If your medical is through an outside medical, outside the military, just go down to your doctor, get a copy of your records, have them put it on a stick or a CD or whatever. I don't need 20,000 pages of paperwork to go through, and we can go through your injuries and talk about it and submit them to the VA. We don't make you any promises, except we will be with you every step of the way. We'll fill out the correct paperwork, we'll get it into the VA, we'll see what they say, and we'll just keep working with you. We'll be by your side all the way, 100%. If your spouse is coming in to file for something, say you passed and she wants to continue the DIC because you're 100%, well, she's going to need a marriage certificate. She's going to need your long form death certificate. And she's going to have to list every marriage that she's ever had and every marriage you've ever had. So there's a lot of paperwork she's going to need to file a claim. So the best thing to do is call your local DAV before you go in there, speak to a chapter officer, and see what you need to bring with you. As he said, there's 50 chapters in Florida. Chapter 109, we have 3 service officers on every day of the week except Sunday. So feel free to call us or email me or whatever. But definitely work with your local chapter, call them, see what you need, and go in and see them. There's a lot of things you don't realize that are probably wrong with you, that us talking to you, we can work things out and see what we can send in for a claim for you. But it's very important to use the DAV. We do not charge. We are veterans just like you guys. We're disabled. You have to be a disabled veteran to belong, unless you want to join the DAVA, which is the auxiliary unit. All you have to do is have somebody in your military family. But for vets, it's not going to cost you anything. Come in and see us.
Just one other note. In the past, it's been exceedingly hard to get benefits because you had to prove so much. If you had an illness, you had to prove it was attributed to military service. In August 9th of 2022, they passed what's called the PACT Act. Now, the PACT Act itself is not something you can apply for, but what it does, it makes a lot of those ailments that you have what they call presumptuous. In other words, if you have orders or somewhere in your military record says you were in Vietnam and you have a disability or illness that comes from Agent Orange, if you were there, it's presumptuous, they give it to you. You don't have to prove it anymore.
Burn pits.
That's made a very big difference in the speed of getting claims through. And we process, 160, 170 claims a month?
Yes.
We saw 14 veterans yesterday filing claims. We had 3 service officers in there. And this is not just doing a power of attorney so we can talk for you and doing, well, this guy might file in the future. This is actually filing claims. Okay? Don't think that if you get money from the VA that you're going to be taking it from somebody that needs it more than you. Not true. There's lots of money. You deserve what your disabilities and your benefits, you deserve that for your service.
Oh, no, but I want to thank you all for what you do, because I know you make a big difference. And I want to ask you, my dear, you all, got anything else you want to say, or should we turn it over to the gentleman on your right?
I think we've hit the hot topics, and we can turn it over.
All right, hand him the microphone.
Here you go, Drew.
Thank you very much.
This is Drew O'Connor. He's with the Florida Lake County Service Officer, and he's Navy, so don't hold it against him.
Go Navy. Go Navy, who ya? Appreciate that, Bob. All right, as Bob mentioned, my name is Drew O'Connor. I am a veteran service officer with Lake County. A little bit about me. I was a jet mechanic, so I worked mostly on F-18s, Super Hornets, that sort of thing. I deployed twice, OND, OEF, and I've been with the county for a little over a year now. Prior to that, I did education services with veterans up in Boston, Massachusetts, where I also used to work for the VA. So don't hold that against me, please. I would appreciate that. But what that experience did allow me to do is it kind of allowed me to take a bit of a look behind the curtain. So before I talk about that, I just kind of want to say thank you for having us. I love doing events like this because these are events where I actually get to go out and talk to veterans, which, while I enjoyed working at the VA, I tell anybody who comes to my office all the time, the part that I missed was this, right? The actual interactions, the stories, you know, the different periods of service. You know, it's really what motivates me to do what I do and really motivates our office to do what we do. Okay, we are in it to help vets. You know, I like to say vets helping vets. I can't think of anything better. Okay. Now, normally what I like to do at events like this typically is I do kind of a basic rundown of sort of what happens at the VA, sort of how the process actually works. Okay. So generally speaking, when you're filing a claim, okay, the VA is going to look for three different things. One, they're going to look for an in-service event. Okay. Two, as mentioned previously, a current diagnosis for whatever it is you were claiming. Okay. And three, the hardest part really to establish, what we call the nexus, okay, or a connection sort of between the in-service event and the current disability. How did service cause this particular disability? Okay. Now, the hard part with that is that if you don't have one of those three pieces of the triangle, that's where your denial is more than likely going to come from. Okay. So anytime you're looking at claims, filing claims, okay, these are things that you kind of need to be on the lookout for, right? Now, with the advent of the PACT Act, Agent Orange conditions, things like that, presumptives now make that a little bit easier, okay? When you're looking at the PACT Act, okay, you look at something called TARA, for example, right? Toxic exposure risk activity. That's kind of the big push that you're seeing at the VA now. We, as veterans, we had a lot of different missions in a lot of different places, and we came in contact with a lot of nasty stuff that was out there. So these presumptive conditions now, you can kind of tie it based on service. Now, the hard part with that is that it's not always super clear. Take something like sleep apnea, for example, okay? A good portion of veterans I know have sleep apnea to some extent, okay? What we were seeing about 2 years ago, sleep apnea was kind of getting service connected, kind of like that in a lot of ways, okay? A lot of people were assuming it is a presumptive condition. It is, in fact, not a presumptive condition, okay? So a lot of that translation kind of gets lost, right, when you're looking at something like that. So sleep apnea is one of those things that you're seeing get denied quite a bit nowadays. So part of what we do at our office is we realistically try to find ways to get you where you need to go, okay? Because there's a lot of different ways to get to where you need to get to, okay? If we're talking about something like sleep apnea, okay? A lot of different ways to get there. I've seen it service-connected through toxic exposure. I've seen it service-connected secondary to mental health. I've seen it service-connected secondary to rhinitis, sinusitis. Some of these, what's that?
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus, okay? So it just kind of depends, right? So a big part of what we do, okay, we're an appointment-only office. We're right behind Van Ganaway Chevy off of 441, okay? When you come into one of our offices, so it'll either be me or my colleague Ron, right over here. He's one of our other VSOs for the county. He's fantastic. You're going to love him, okay? Essentially what we do is you have an hour with one of us, okay? And we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about in that hour, okay? We go through your DD-214s. If we have access to your VA file, we go through any previous claims. We go through your service, where you've been, what you did, okay? Because there's, like I said, there's a lot of different ways to kind of look at this stuff, okay? Take appeals, for example, okay? The different ways that you can appeal now, okay? I've seen appeals be successful based on a statement, right? The hard part about the VA is, I assume most of you have had a claim denied before, okay? I'm absolutely right there with you, right? And it is frustrating. It is one of the most frustrating things that you will go through because in a lot of ways, you feel like the VA is telling you this didn't happen to me, right? So it comes up to us to substantiate that, right? When you look at things like appeals, right, there's a lot of different ways to get to where you need to go, right? And ultimately, if this route didn't work on an appeal, well, you sit down with us and we try something else. If that doesn't work, we try something else, okay? There's a lot of different ways to get to where you need to go, right? But ultimately, what's important is having those three things, okay? And also knowing what the VA rates and what they don't rate. That's another key part of this, okay? Anytime somebody comes into my office, one of the things that I always recommend that they do, any of you right now, you can go online and you can look up what are called the Code of Federal Regulations, the CFR, okay? When the VA rates conditions, okay, those percentages, they don't just throw them at a wall, okay? These are all things that come from the federal government, okay? So take sleep apnea, for example, okay? Not every disability goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, right? Sleep apnea goes 0, 10, 30, 50, 70, and or 50 to 100, actually, okay? So when you've got a veteran filing for an increase, for example, okay? This is why when we're looking at claims and things like that, we usually recommend somebody talk to us or DAV or some service officer, right? Because too many times I've seen a veteran file a claim on their own. They go for an increase without that disability being able to be increased, right? And the downside to that, and this is another thing that the VA is probably not going to tell you, is that if you go in for that evaluation, and then the examiner says, well, this has actually gotten better. The VA can actually take you the other way. They can reduce you the same way that they give you the increase, right? So when we're looking at benefits, okay, I tell veterans a lot of it, more often than not, it's a long game, right? You're going to go through denials, right? I wish that wasn't the case, but it is, right? So knowing how to approach a denial, knowing how to approach a particular claim, knowing how to approach sort of how to claim something is a big deal, right? Because how you write something in there matters, right? What you put in there matters, right? If you sort of give the VA a lot of leeway in where they're going with that claim, they're probably going to take the out that you give them, realistically, right? So when we approach claims, okay, we want to make sure that we are not giving them the ability to go out this way or go out this way or go out this way, right? Like take something like time, even something as simple as time, right? Time is not your friend when it comes to this stuff, right? Right? Unfortunately, when you look at sort of how time has passed, right, and you file claims, in a lot of ways that gives the VA an easy out saying, well, you were in the military 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, right? But we all know, as veterans, right, it doesn't mean we didn't have those conditions. It means that we pushed down and we pushed forward and we did our job, right? So even when we have something like that, oh, Drew, I don't know how to substantiate this. I don't know how I can really get this service connected, right? That's why I tell you, it's a conversation, right? When you come into our office, you're not just a number. You're not just any random person, okay? You're Bob, you're Kathleen, you're Ron, you're Cameron, right? We get to know you on an individual level because we are motivated by the fact that we got 35,000 veterans in this county, right? Our population is 10% veterans, okay? That is a huge, huge number, okay? We are one of the highest veteran populated counties in the state of Florida, right? And what drives us is getting you to where you need to go with those benefits, okay? Now, the reason that I really enjoy doing events like this, like I said, it allows me to have conversations, okay? So typically what I do is after my little spiel here, I want to hear your questions. I want to hear what you specifically want to know about because every veteran's different. Your service is different. Your job is different. Your circumstances are different, right? Some of you were in the Navy. Some of you were in the Air Force, okay? Some of you were in the Army. All different missions in all different parts of the world, right? And what I'm talking about up here might not necessarily be what you want to know about today. But I want to know what you want to know about.
Today I'm at AMVETS Post 2006, a major sponsor of Central Florida Salute. And I want to introduce to you the commander here, Ronnie Mack. Ronnie, tell us a little bit about AMVETS 2006. Where are you located? And
We are at 500 North Canal Street, Leesburg, Florida. It's right off of 441, between 441 and Main Street on Canal. Can't miss us. And we're a veterans organization, along with, we have an auxiliary, and we have sons of veterans that are related some form or another to a veteran. And we do a lot for a lot of charitable donations and stuff to charities in the area and in the county. And we're a major sponsor to Central Florida Salute. We're proud of it. We're glad to be. You guys do a heck of a job, and we'll sponsor you as long as I'm here. We're going to sponsor you. So.
well, I'll tell you what, we do, Sue and I really appreciate it. We're a two-person operation. Yep. And what we try to do with education and supporting our veterans community, and you supporting us is major thing. It's major.
We're glad to do it, Bob. We're glad to do it.
And you have sons here, you have auxiliary here. You've got a website too if somebody wants to join.
Yep, it's don't punch into www. It's amvets-2006.org, and it'll take you right to our website, Facebook page, and all that's there, and you'll be able to find that. The webmaster, he tries to get the calendar on there every month, anything pertinent. There's a lot of other links on there for veterans to find out where to get help for certain claims and stuff like that. Our webmaster's really into that stuff. That's the guy you ought to be interviewing right there. So,
well, you know what,
he's got
Ronnie?
a lot of stuff.
You have a lot of clout. You tell him to talk to me, and we'll get him on the show. Okay?
I can do that.
All right. But I just want to, on behalf of Sue and myself, we want to thank AMVETS 2006 because you guys are the major players behind us, and we appreciate it.
But we just wish we could do more. We really do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.